Stephen A., who do you have a bigger issue with? Your Steelers or those Bengals?
Well, I have an issue with the Bengals. We all know me. You know, I mean, obviously, when you listen. We've talked about the Steelers ad nauseum, and listen, he's got a road game against the Bengals this weekend. Am I worried about their performance in that particular game in Cincinnati? Sure, I am. Okay, but in the grand scheme of things, let me tell you something right now. I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
I want America to notice.
Okay.
I'm not going to let up. I don't give a damn if the Cincinnati Bengals win every single game this regular season. Max, they could be 15-0. I'm still going to complain. They could be 16-0. And that week leading the playoffs, I'll be like, yeah, so what? I don't care about no.
I think you should be at their first playoff game.
Let me tell you something. No, it's too cold. I'm not interested in the
No, you should be there.
Listen, excuse me. There's no NBA team in Cincinnati. Okay,
the baseball team.
The baseball team. I'm getting to my point. There's no basketball team in Cincinnati. The baseball team stinks, and the football team is allergic to prosperity come at the minute Christmas arrives, okay? They don't do it. As a matter of fact, they ruin the Christmases of Cincinnati folks all over the place. This is what they do. They're cruel. The Cincinnati Bengals and Marvin Lewis particularly are the real Grinches who stole Christmas.
No,
That's who they are. It's not me.
It's
not me. It's them. I don't care what listen, the Bengals are 4-1. They've been very impressive. It wouldn't surprise me if they beat the Steelers this weekend, although I'm very hopeful and prayerful that they don't. But in the end, I'm looking at them right now. They beat Indianapolis. They beat Baltimore, okay? They beat Atlanta and Miami, and I get all of that. I understand it, even though they lost to Carolina. All I'm saying to you is this. The Cincinnati Bengals don't mean a damn thing to me until they win one playoff game. One. That's all I ask. One. You can't get me one game, one. That's all I need.
Okay. Now, I think, look, let me start by saying this.
Yeah, take it down a notch.
The human brain understands the world through stories.
Okay.
But that's how we make models of the world. We tell ourselves stories. So let me tell you a story now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
About the Cincinnati Bengals and Marvin Lewis.
Oh, Lord.
And why I believe they already would have a playoff win.
Okay.
First, let me start by saying all those playoff losses, they were wild card games. Marvin Lewis is a good coach. He's a good enough coach to get you in the playoffs every other year or so as the wild card team. Not a great coach where you're winning the division and everything, but a good coach. Get you to the playoffs a lot of the time. But the fact that you're the wild card team indicates you're not the best team. Now, he's lost disproportionately, never won, so he's lost all those wild card games. But the last one he was in, against the Pittsburgh Steelers, I thought they were going to win. And in fact, I think the evidence shows that they would have, and that events have conspired to make him look worse than he is, Marvin Lewis, and to keep your story about how Marvin Lewis never wins in the playoffs going for an extra couple years.
Keep going.
Here it is. Andy Dalton that year that the Bengals looked like one of the most well-rounded teams in football, much like they look this year. Andy Dalton showed me signs of turning the corner. I looked at how he played in primetime games, including Thursday. I looked at how he played in the fourth quarter and on third down. And all those numbers that year looked like he'd reversed the trend from his career. I said, there is hope for this guy. In fact, I think this might be the year he does it. And he gets hurt going into the playoffs. And A.J. McCarron plays instead.
Yep.
And even so, even though that's a drop-off in quarterback play, it came down to that last play. I believe, for good reason, the Bengals beat the Steelers that day with Andy Dalton. Now, what happened the following year? Okay, so what's happened since then? Why weren't they better? Whitworth, the left tackle, was a free agent. They felt he was too old to pay him the big money because by the end of the contract, it wouldn't be worth it. The Rams signed Whitworth. Look at the Rams now. And now, this last year, they traded for Cordy Glenn, who's a solid tackle. Yep, he is.
Good.
He can play. It stabilized the line. Dalton now has protection. Even remember the Ravens game on Thursday night.
That's why they're running the football effectively as well.
They're running it better. They're protecting for Andy Dalton better. I believe that was the year they were going to win a playoff game, but it got pushed ahead for those circumstances 2 years. This is the year the Bengals win a playoff game, this year.
And all I'm saying is when they do it, call me. Because I'm waiting. That's all I'm saying. Listen.
I'm not going to call you. I'm going to FaceTime you.
Let me tell you something right now. The multitude. And I'm going to put this into perspective since we're in the business of storytelling. Let me give you my version of that story. The Cincinnati Bengals, injuries, they've come up short. Every playoff game they lost was a wild card game. all 6, 7 times under Marvin Lewis. You're absolutely correct. Even though once or twice they won the division, but you remember when you're that third team, it's a division winner. So they won the division. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is this: they got Mixon now, they got Bernard, they got AJ Green, et cetera, et cetera. They had talent. Even when AJ McCarron was out, they had a lead and they imploded. Why did they implode? Because of a lack of discipline. Now, you can say to Vontaze Burfict, you can point to a lot of things. What I'm trying to say to you is this: somehow, some way, under Marvin Lewis, there's always seems to be a different excuse as to why they fall apart when it really, really counts. And I don't know of any job, any profession where you have an obligation to reach a certain point, fail to do something for 15 straight years, and don't lose your job. I don't know. Now, is it just me? I don't think it's just me. 15 years, and it's the same issue. Nah, I'm not going for that.
If you watch Hard Knocks, watch Hard Knocks a couple years ago, you see what it is with Marvin Lewis. It's even-keeled, but it seems to lack passion, right? But okay, slow and steady does it. Eventually, he's going to win a playoff game. It's going to be this year.